All right, and to understand exactly what is at stake in this diplomatic row, let's now speak with Dr. Ochieng Kamuthai, who is a senior lecturer at Strathmore University. Dr. thanks for making time for us. It's been termed as a diplomatic roller coaster. How strained, how bad are the relations at this moment when you compare with what's been happening in the past?
I believe, Wahiga, that what is now causing the row to be even deeper and more serious actually emanates from the fact of the upcoming elections in 2021, where Farmajo is trying to actually survive. And one of the key issues is prompting up nationalistic feelings so that he's able to mobilize Somalis behind him.
That's a very interesting point that you've raised. You've brought in the aspect of politics, but of course politics will affect trade, politics will affect the war on terror, for example. And let's start with the trade part. We actually have some graphics showing the balance of trade between Kenya and Somalia, exports, imports, and we'll be running that. And a quick glance at the numbers there tell you that Kenya would stand to lose more financially from a row like this one. What do you make of it?
In the short term, Kenya will definitely lose revenue. But in the long term, when we look at the major exports, Somalia may be in problems because one of the main exports to Somalia is miraa, which is actually consumed by the local people. So what would the Somali government do when the people now demand miraa and they cannot get it? Yes, there can be alternative sources of miraa, but that may not necessarily match the quality and what they've been used to. So this is what is the major challenge that Somali government may face.
One of the questions that's kept popping up, Daktari, is the safety of Kenya's troops in Somalia. At a time when the host country is in the process of evaluating, severing, diplomatic ties, should there be concerns about the safety of Kenya's troops, in your view?
I believe there could be concerns. However, to
what extent, maybe?
What would be worrying me is actually to the concern of the Somali government itself. Right now, Ethiopia is immersed in its own internal problems, and Ethiopia was a very strong ally in this peace process in AMISOM. When Kenya, also another ally, pulls out, then this leaves ungovernable spaces which will be quickly occupied by Al-Shabaab, and Al-Shabaab is not in a bedfellow of the Somali government. That's for sure. So this is what the Somalis should be looking at. Although there could be in the short term concerns about our troops, but our troops can be quickly evacuated. We only need a plan of action. But what we should be looking at is in the long term. And the long term has been the contribution of Kenya and other regional states towards stabilizing Somalia, which the Somali government in its infancy now would not be able to handle.
That's definitely food for thought, Daktari. The truth of the matter is, though, our two nations have some very strong cultural ties. What does this mean for, citizens who have origins there, now live here, or had origins here, now live in Somalia as well? Let's talk about that cultural background between these two nations that obviously would be affected by a row like this one. Actually,
the challenge would be that there are social ties. Indeed, some of the clans straddle the two borders. You may not distinguish because people have relatives on the other side and they have relatives on this side. So if you now decide to impose a border closure, how do you actually implement it? That's the question that now arises. And it may not be an easy question to be implemented because the border communities themselves may resist any other effort to close those borders. They will continue, and there are so many panya routes as a result of the porous nature of this border that we may not be able to manage it either on the side of Kenya and on the side of Somalia. So the worry should be what would happen, and the communities, I'm sure, cannot be barred from seeing their relatives.
Tell me this, Daktari, where do we go from here? In terms of options, one option obviously would be the continual degrading of relations. Many hope that won't happen. In terms of fixing those relations again, what are the options? Dialogue?
Wahiga, we only have one option.
Which is?
Somalia and Kenya will continue to be neighbors, not in the short term. I think God created them to be contiguous. And so if God and the colonial government made them contiguous, they cannot now escape any other approach except using diplomatic means to sort out this problem. So the idea of trying to thump chest is actually a waste of time. And the earlier we sat around the table and sorted out this issue through dialogue, the better for us.
Doctor, I do have a lot of questions, but I've been told our time is up. Thank you so much for weighing in on this conversation.